for PMA. Hopefully they can actually land themselves a central compound and not have any four-man breach them. You can see Tian there on the minimap. You can see him in front of Belmoth. He's taken that compound just on the low side of the hill here, just below the gym. So Belmoth could get that information, could hand that over to his team. There's only one guy in here, and then obviously the rest of Daytrade are quite close to Belmoth, so they could group up quite quickly and then breach him, but I don't think Daytrade are going to do that quite early. That compound that Tian's in is not super priority. You'd much rather take the top of the hill and maybe sit two people in that gym just north of where Tian is at the moment, where Belmoth is right now. In fact, this building can be quite nice later on.
Yeah, and we're also looking at members of Force to be doing exactly the same, but it is them moving into the hills of Monte Nevo, which may actually allow them to spot out the players from FTF. So going back to Tian, he's on the lower ground side. I'm not sure if he would be able to identify if there's going to be any players around with Belmoth, of course, in the vicinity. He might just be able to look around, but these footsteps might actually be heard by Daytrade. He's got to be extremely careful. He's got that AUG. Should be able to trade.
Yeah, he's in a bit of a rough spot right now. Has to make the perfect play, essentially. He can secure himself one. He can probably get Belmoth here, but any more than that, the rest of Daytrade are quite close. Flash will be there to trade. I am Pete's kind of acting as a bait right now. This is perfect for Tian. Could set himself up nicely and his team up nicely if he's able to secure one, but they're on the roof. It's so much harder for Tian to get this kill when Belmoth is on the roof, but he is going to go one step further. The secret agent that is Tian is going to put himself either outside, just outside, or potentially even inside. Luckily for Tian, he's got sound information, so he can make a play based off where Belmoth decides to make footsteps. Oh, this is kind of perfect, I think. If Belmoth puts himself on that corrugated fence, it's just game over for him. You can't whip this spray. If you do, it's over. He doesn't. It's incredibly clean for Tian, and now PMA has to activate off this.
Perfect lure coming in from Tian. He couldn't play any better than that. With PMA really came up for success with all the rotations being set on the perfect timing. And PMA comes in with a first blood and a great head start getting into this Miramar round. But what does Daytrade do right now, knowing that for the fact that the rest of PMA is going to be around this sector? It's going to be Puchus that will be going in for that push. He's also pretty much alone. As you can see, well, Lawrence is going to be joining in from back. Meanwhile, Flash is actually the one that will have to deal with the majority of PMA, but managed to actually catch one in the form of Teddy, getting a knock. Meanwhile, 1-for-1 exchange as we see Flash go down.
Oh, Tian has to do it all right now. It's 1v2. He's actually got one. Nurens wasn't peeking. He pulled out utility, but thankfully Tian runs into his crosshair. So Tian goes down. Daytrade do get that exchange secured. And the rest of PMA, well, they got Flash. Are they going to be here to finish off the rest of Daytrade? I think not. They're just going to back off with Valley Tie on top of the hill now. It's pretty much game over for that commitment there from PMA. A nice attempt from Tian. Obviously, he probably could have done a lot more if he was able to survive, maybe leave that compound, play within the line of sight of PMA once they had dealt with Flash. Many options for Tian to do there. Unfortunately, the one he went for, honestly, they gave him a chance. I'll say that. Daytrade definitely gave him a chance. Noran's pulling out utility wasn't necessarily the best timing. Basically let his teammates go down without a trade, but they get it done in the end, but both teams weakened from that exchange.
Yeah, of course, with the PMA only slightly benefiting from that form of a scuffle, they still got a lot more to deal with here, especially with all the other teams surrounding the area. Reluctant Squad hoping for a chance here as they managed to also scope through the front of Valitai Esports. They'll be taking the lower end of the compound. So RS, they've managed to at least scout the area in order to make their next decision. As they're already around the center, they don't really have to make a move too much. It's all about getting the tags on, a little bit of wear and tear. As Panic will have light work to be able to at least get the vehicles running eventually, making sure it is parked in the safe spot. As Armor Gaming will be on the lookout in order to see if there's going to be any form of chance of a pickup. Armor Gaming had an inconsistent run from yesterday, and they are looking pretty much on a good form with that proactive play onto the side of PMD at least.
I felt like yesterday for Daytrade specifically, it was them losing one early and then kind of playing the game through as three, and then for for Armory, it was them losing 2 early and playing the game through as 2, and yet both of those teams managed to be on top of the leaderboard. Obviously, they had much better games. It wasn't just every game they lost players, but for Armory, certainly, my memory from them yesterday is that one clutch from Jane. There were a couple highlights from Dynasty and Riz too, but the biggest memory for me is them just having to play as 2 all the time.
Yeah.
Going into today, I'm hoping that changes. We did see one go down, but luckily it didn't actually get flushed.
It wasn't just one specific map that happens to the side of AG. It's like a couple of rounds consecutively. So perhaps just making sure that they keep their survival rate a lot higher into today's matchup. We'll definitely see much better yield coming in from the side of Armory Gaming. Meanwhile, Panic Esports, we've seen some pretty interesting plays, especially the one in Vikendi. But in Miramar, it's a lot harder to pull that off. So, of course, different tactics will apply for today. As we take a look at Force Natural Gaming making a maneuver to break yard. Oh, he's going to be looking to see if he stands a chance against the rest of From the Future. Team one spotted out already. Master pulls up the AUG, looking for a catch. Not able to actually dish out enough damage as of yet. But FTF, they will have pretty much a sniping range from afar to be able to at least give him a little bit of cover, so Simoy can actually back off. That Panzer's not going to be able to hit him from this distance.
I feel like that was close, though. A couple seconds late, and Simoy might actually go down to that Panzer, but he does get out of there. It's good from Forest. They knocked Orkaran, and then Master was the one that was pulled up close, and then I think Olympus off in the background maybe it was Olympus off in the background, was getting the off angle on that flush, just securing it so that FTF have nothing to fight for, essentially, and they are the team that's going to be disengaging from the fight with Forest. The kill feed, is popping off a little bit. It's Panic and Unicorn Cyber. Much worse for wear here in the corner of Monty this early. An incredibly interesting exchange, but it is a very central spot. So I suppose if both teams want it, they're going to fight for it. Panic is in a much better position now. Hudat's just down on the left side of them. And I think the rest of Unicorn Cyber have... In fact, no, the rest of Unicorn Cyber are all the way on the north. They have absolutely no interest in getting involved in this fight. They were never involved in this fight to begin with. And so they've just lost 2 teammates for an attempt at the corner of Monty.
Yeah, Hudat really get caught off in the really tough area for the rest of Unicorn and Cyber to even lend any form of assistance at all. So it's a rough start for the side of the Unicorn Cyber. That may actually affect them in the long run here in Miramar, as they will still try to actually cut across, as they are not to be able to secure any form of real estate right now. The central area is absolutely swarmed with all other teams, so I'm not too sure if Unicorn Cyber will be able to book a safe spot, as they will be able to at least get some cover through the valleys if they will be driving by. But the further they go, though, it's going to be another squad over on the top side of the hill, so let's see if they're going to be able to at least get some good exchanges.
I feel like this is as far as Unicorn Cyber go. I think you're right. They just kind of have to submit to sitting in and around these ridges. They're not currently getting shot at from the warehouse. That's a false positive from Sapao there, and finally he does get shot at. So that's a no, going to that warehouse. He's going to have to come back, maybe group up with Manhung and see what they can do, see how they can fight their way up this hill. Because ISG currently own most of the real estate around this area. They've got the shanties just above Unicorn Cyber, and they've got that warehouse. It's a deadly 2-2 split. Not one that can easily be reinforced. It obviously will take some time for either 2-2 to regroup, hop in their cars and drive down. And by that point, it might be too late. But I think the presence from ISG is enough. And in fact, you can see on the map there, they are leaving the 2-2. They are going to group up on those shanties, and I like that play from ISG. Bottom of the leaderboard currently, so they need a good win, and one of the ways you get a good win is keep yourself up as 4. Unicorn Cyber have not done that. Forest on the emergency parachute as well, all the way in the sky. In fact, they're probably going to come down on top of that unplayable and just be a nuisance for everyone in the lobby, potentially ISG as well. But we remain on Unicorn Cyber, who remain in dire straits.
I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to even get much out of this form of exchange against some of the squads up there. So they're kind of stuck in between, especially with Forest over on their south. There's honestly not too much spacing for them to work with, so either they basically hunker down, play a little bit more defensive, and wait for the next space to appear, then only make another form of rotation. Meanwhile, the rest of PMA so far have been pretty steady after that initial battle that they had over onto the southern quarters of the map. will be eyeing out onto the gas station, Norins. All alone as the day trade member will at least be safe from harm's way at the moment. Not too sure if there's ever going to be any form of backing with Valentine, even much closer to the side of PMA. Oh, this is looking very, very dicey as we approach the late stage of the game.
Yeah, this is one of the spots where teams kind of end up just because this circle can shift north quite often, and that compound is a nice staging point to take to give you access to the north. And unfortunately, two teams have ended up inside it, and in this weird kind of agreement to just share the compound for the moment. Dopeness find themselves stranded on the side of that hill, and Shinosuke has been knocked down by GLS. This is happening in the blue, mind you. Shinosuke was the cover. He was the one covering his team all the way on that side of the hill. He's been knocked down, now trying to get flushed out by a completely separate team as well. That's Armory off in the distance, trying to yoink that, but Zayu's there to finally get his kill. And then the rest of Dopeness now are going to be in a lot of trouble. GLS coming in for the flank. Dynasty, though, making it even harder for Dopeness. In fact, they're not shooting at GLS because they can't. GLS are the ones in firm control of this situation, being helped out by Armory Gaming, and having to fight GLS is just not a good combination. So Uka and Omoshidaten are just going to get the hell out of there.
Yeah, they just really have to make a dash for it. So Uka at least survives to tell the tale for now. Armory Gaming have gated them for quite some time as well, just from the minimap. And both of these teams will still have to journey their way back towards the south, as we do see the update of the circle pulling in towards the outskirts of Picado. So this is definitely going to be challenging to raise. Some of the areas are just flat grounds, unworkable at all in this current state of the game, where we're going to be seeing a lot of those battles taking place on top of the mountains.
It's a very rough shift for so many teams. The ones that were playing it for the north have now had their entire game plan thrown out the window. The ones who are playing it for the south probably aren't in the best spots because they weren't really necessarily accounting for a southern shift. They were just playing it just in case it went north or in case it went closer to the unplayables. These two teams, actually, PMA and Valley Tai, funnily enough, end up in a decent spot. It's rough, don't get me wrong. You never want to be sharing a compound like this, especially when you're dead center as well. It just limits you so much. Valley Tai are going to be able to look to the south where most of the teams are going to be, and then there's PMA, who can't rotate, who can't really do anything. A lot of the angles they can actually shoot from are completely locked out from them, because if they start to shoot through those top floor doors and things like that, they're going to be shot at by Valley Tai. In fact, they're going to have to peek out of those backside openings if they want to shoot at the south, and then Valley Tai is obviously going to be there to potentially take advantage of that. They're also both in nade range of each other, which could cause its own problems. ISG, they had center a while ago, no longer. T9's been taken down. Riz will get that one, and Armory Gaming look to clean up their side of the zone.
So Sharp coming in from the side of Riz, and is eventually going to be able to secure it unless that's going to be stolen away. Rest of Armory Gaming closing in, spots out more members from the side of GLS. See if Stack's going to be able to get one more. And he's basically having some trades going on. Dynasty, James, all pinned out by the side of Kuei-sama. And there is going to be Zui that will also catch the finishing blow. Armory Gaming will leave Rose on foot. There is a vehicle to work with, and it will be able to spot out Diane as he turns his back, trying to actually catch his teammates instead. Hong Nam now dropping in the grenade, and will be basically making a dash to keep himself alive for now. This power grid fiasco is just starting to conclude.
Oh, Armory sent it into those bowls, hoping that the cover from, I believe it was Riz or Dynasty up on the top there, or maybe it was Shanks. They were just hoping for that cover to be good enough to support them while they were in that bowl, but that was not the case. The lines of sight weren't good at all. Armory sent it into those bowls, just get torn apart. GLS were ready for them, and GLS had their crosshairs lined up on those driver's seats when they drove in. And then, of course, it makes it even harder for the rest of Armory to survive with ISG and Whitefish in the background. So Armory Gaming caught in between a multitude of teams here without anything they could really do. They took that fight. You got to respect them for that, but it was a very quick fight, and they didn't really have any chance of winning it. Whitefish very nicely spread on top of these unplayables as well. It's shifted off of them a decent amount. They're still going to have terrain to play with as ISG finish off GLS, but the priority now for Whitefish is Forest, who are creeping their way up just underneath these unplayables.
Yeah, eventually we'll have to climb down and maybe have to even force a fight against the rest of Forest. They do have Dahlia positioned pretty nicely over the top, of course. and also having the angle coverage coming in from the side of Tiari. So far, trying to at least give them a little bit more pressure, but that's not going to be flushing any sort of members away from the side of Forest at all. In fact, they're just going to be hiding right underneath their noses for the time being. No angles to work with, and also spotting out other teams, trying to also attack Forest from another corner. KM though, spotted out. Dahlia won't be able to land it just yet. Molotovs.
Oh no.
He burned himself instead.
Nah, that's rookie. He tried, but yeah, to no avail, unfortunately, for Dahlia. He'll heal himself up, so not too much of an issue, but I think the most important thing there is that's information gained, right? That's information gained for Whitefish. Forest, though, they have to fight towards Panic now. Panic are coming in from the edge of the zone. They didn't have any spot to play, and so they're going to invade the terrain that Forest is sitting in. Forest have a nice piece of terrain, mind you, so Panic's certainly going to be wanting this. ISG now getting involved with Whitefish on top of the unplayables as well. It's chaos on the northern side of the zone here as everyone's got to come off this high ground and put themselves in the line of sight of everyone across the zone. Those hungry eyes looking at these as just pure kills right now. Panic, though, incredibly struggling on the western side there. They're going to have to move their way down into that compound with PMA and Valet Tie, essentially. Dusky might even be the last one up for Panic at the moment. Never mind, they have three. I'm surprised that three members of Panic have survived for as long as they have. They found themselves in a very low ground position on the far western side of zone. Look at that. Noran has complete eyes on both those players, but they've got a car to work with so they can make their escape.
Yeah, and also lucky for both of those squads because we had Whitefish over on top of the hill and they decide to rotate away. And that basically allows a little bit more spacing for PNC to basically work with. Now, First National Gaming will just slowly creep right in, but still stuck in between both PMA as well as Whitefish. With PNC will just obliterate the final members on of Daytrade Gaming, taking over the gas station. Well, Olympus, let's see if he can basically find something with his DMRs. Dusky will have a little bit of a problem there. I believe that I see a selfie or something like that. Not too sure. I'm gonna check it once again. But anyways, back to the side of Forest Gaming. They're still in close proximities and already looking at some damage from afar. Oh, this is not gonna be doing him good. Very little cover as they need to proceed to move down the hill.
RXC looking like they're in a decent spot right now, aren't they? I feel like a lot of the action's going to happen around the edges of the circle. Teams are going to weaken each other, and RXC's just going to clean up towards the end of the game. It would be another one of those games where potentially they don't get that many kills because they are in one of those central compound locations. They're going to have to really capitalize on people coming down from the north. But as you can see on the map, Whitefish, Forest, in fact, as you can see in the picture-in-picture, they're both going at it with each other right now, trading blows, getting shot at from RXC as well. I told you, man, RXC, they want these kills. They need these kills. They need to put themselves up there, fight with the rest of the top teams currently in the 7th. But look, they can definitely get more. We've seen it from them many, many times. KM99, the top fragger in the lobby, looking towards Whitefish, but what can he really do? He's kind of got to overextend a little bit too much, and if he overextends, not only does he open himself to Whitefish, he opens himself up to RXC as well, but he's making a play regardless. He doesn't care. Blue Zone backpack is on. He can tank this as much as he wants. He's going to make that play around Whitefish. Olympus opens up for him. He's going to get the second one. Can he get the third? He cannot. If Evans trades it out, but Scappy and the rest of Forest are here to finish off Whitefish.
Kind of overheated a little bit there, and like you said, a little bit of overconfidence being displayed from the side of KM99, but he did smell blood and still will get the advantage for the rest of Forest National Gaming. Huge nade drop towards Scappy. Won't be bringing him down, but Feven, does he even have a fighting chance? The Blues already creeping in as well. Represent Esports also will have some long-range duels, but Valley Tie Esports so far really racking up a lot of elimination points with his med loss, securing those kills onto PMA while we continue on with this long extended trade from the side of Forest, now leaving with only one member after that push towards the members of Whitefish.
Yeah, only one up for Forest. They did exactly what I thought they would do. Trade blows until you end up with one up or two up on both teams. Master is the only one up for Forest, and then Fevin's the only one up for Whitefish. So it's unfortunate for both those teams, but We move over to another pretty influential fight in this late game here. The team that ends up victorious in this compound is certainly going to have an impact on RXC's game. But RXC, yeah, rose-tinted glasses coming over here thinking they can third party. All the action's happening on the south side of this compound, though. Reluctant Squad cleaning FRKS up. Hasn't been a good tournament from FRKS yet. In fact, Reluctant Squad taking losses of their own. They really desperately need this res. If they can't get this, then the rest of the fight is going to be a lot harder for them. But it looks like they are getting it with the backup, the help of Hwang on the backside ridge.
Yeah, it definitely has been a really tough tournament for the side of FRKS, but we do see gradual improvements heading into this match of Miramar, where their survival rate definitely has increased. Is just going to be able to find one, as they are also spawning out members from the side of FTF, and Dopeness will finish up at 8, but RXE, they just wiped out the entirety of FTF.
Very clean. I mean, you can't ask for an engagement that much cleaner, but they had to push themselves outside of those compounds to do it. Danahan's gone down for it. Valet Tai remain very dominant in this game, taking out PMA. I think that was a gimme given the positions both those teams were in that compound. So Power's now gone down. Valet Tai look on fire. We saw an excellent defense from them last night, the very last game of the night.